All right, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third to last round of the 2020 GP4 OC GP2 season. I am your lead commentator, Robert Ionescu, and today, just for today, because he will not be joining me for the race, I am joined by Joseph Willows. Hello there, Joe.
Hello, yes, I am here, and it's a little bit of a late call up for me, really, because I do believe that Nicholas Zorbach was originally meant to be the second commentator, but unfortunately he's come down with COVID. We believe it's Omicron he's got, so get well soon, Nico. But yes, I am here. I do have a little bit of a headache, but I'm well enough to do this. Don't worry.
All right, well, it's good to see you nonetheless, and this is a track we haven't seen in for a little bit of a while. Certainly never in GP2, but it's a fresh new country, and it's quite good to be here. It's we're in South Moravia at the Masaryk circuit, just outside Brno, and I'm sure this is going to be one hell of a race. Obviously, you all know this track for the race it produced in MotoGP. I'm sure if you're fans of a certain South African rider, sorry, you might know this track rather well. What do you think?
Yes, indeed. Obviously, that South African rider that Rob is referring to, of course, is Brad Binder, or as my brother calls him, Big Bollocks Brad. Sorry for the demonetization, but
That's
that
one. That's
it
one
is a
fun nickname.
yes. Well, I think he kind of earned that nickname after the last season. But yes, this track is obviously familiar to people who watch MotoGP, but it hasn't been on the OC calendar, well, in any form of OC since 2017. DTM was last to use this track, but after 3 seasons away, it is now back, and it should be quite interesting. We have heard apparently from Flo that this track is better for GP2 than it is with DTM, so we should hopefully have an exciting and clean race, hopefully.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, this track has produced some chaotic races in DTM, but it'll be a whole different affair in GP2, the open wheelers. Should be quite entertaining. What do you say, Joe? We get going on with the qualifying session. Last time out
Let's
in
do it.
Italy, it was Joe Watterson who, after a horrific start to the season so far, with just 4 rounds to go, took his first victory of the season and of his entire GP2 career. As a matter of fact, it was a well it was a welcome victory, and Aaron Curtis, his teammate, finished fifth to increase his championship advantage. Ruslan Protsuk finished second, is only 11 points down. It's pretty much crunch time, really.
It is indeed, especially with a lot of them fighting for top class seats as well. So it should be quite interesting.
Yeah, indeed. 93 points left on the table, just 3 races. Aaron Curtis has 106 points in total, so that means everyone with 13 points or less is out of championship contention. So that means the last three, Skillen, Wallinger, and Kulisic, the home driver here, can no longer win the championship. The other 19 still have a shot, albeit mathematically. But in all honesty, it's around about 7 drivers who stand a real chance of winning it. What do you think?
Yeah, a bit similar to how it was in was it 2018 when we had about 7 contenders, if I'm not mistaken. So
We
might
did
be up
have
for
7 right up until the last race, of course, though we lost 2 of them after qualifying.
indeed. Well, I think it's best we get on with this, shall we, and see what it's like for the
Yeah,
GP2
indeed.
guys.
I believe that if Aaron Curtis takes pole, by the way, Nicholas Zorbach will drop out of championship contention. Or if Zorbach doesn't take pole himself, though I'm not quite sure. In any case, the session is going to be bone dry, so no further rain whatsoever. That should be pretty good.
Yep, a dry session, so let's get on with it.
Yeah. 14 corners on this track. It is, of course, clockwise, and it doesn't have any notoriously long straights. The corners are all challenging all of their own, I think.
Indeed, so, I'm not sure about you, but as a MotoGP fan, I'm pretty sad that this track is no longer on the MotoGP calendar. To be quite honest with you, because it was quite a good track for MotoGP.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, it'll be coming back in the future, but that's obviously not up to us. In any case, the drivers are getting ready to go out on track. We'll be the first one out. The session has begun. Looks like that's not rain, is it? It's just a very abrasive tarmac there in the pit
I
lane.
think it's just cloud cover from the looks of it, because everybody's on the dry tyre, so I think it's just a bit of cloud cover. But we aren't expecting any rain. But then again, we know how Flo's radar is usually.
Nice to see we got the trees in the background.
Indeed,
Obviously,
so
we don't have a lot of tractor just dart around through the forest. apart from Spa, of course.
Anyway, we've got the first car on track, which is Adam Chobot from Slovakia, just over the border, I think, from Czech Republic, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they were one single country for around about 60 years, 80 years or so. So yeah, I suppose you could call this a home race for Adam Chobot, in a way. It's not his home country anymore because Czechoslovakia fell apart in 1993, but it's still close to home, and I think Chobot will be trying to do the best he can. Considering he's left in Italy, he'll want to do the best he can here if he wants to win the championship.
Obviously, I was just going to say there that obviously there isn't a Slovakian track on Grand Prix 4, so yeah, you could say that this is the closest he's probably going to get to a home Grand Prix.
Yeah, in Flo's fantasy series, there was a track, a fictional track, and we just pretend it was from Slovakia, but obviously we're not going to race on fictional tracks.
No. Well, yeah, that's a point as well, because Flo also put that in the vote for the track. So it is possible to have fantasy sign-ups, but I think they've got to be a little bit realistic, not crazy ones, as I think Flo put it. So anyway, Chobot is going to be starting his lap very soon, as he's going to be approaching the final two corners.
Yep, indeed. It's 14 corners. Quite an interesting lap, I dare say. But let's get cracking with it. Here we go. It's not the longest of runs to the first corner, as Chobot is about to begin his lap right now. Here we go.
Yep. So he goes out towards the first corner. He's also got his teammate right behind him. So High-Tech not wasting any time by getting their guys out there first. And of course,
indeed. Confident on the exit there, took a little bit of curb for the flat-out kink of 2. Now comes the first serious braking zone. That turns left, or the left hand of turn 3, which is followed up by turn 4. In a way, this reminds me like the first sector of Mugello, except the home straight is much shorter. Now, down towards turn 5 we go. 29.4 in the first sector, Joe.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have to see what that's like compared to everyone else, because obviously we've never had GP2 cars go around this circuit. So, to be honest, that doesn't really mean anything. We'll have to wait and see what everybody else is like compared to that. But Chobot obviously needs to get a very good lap in, as you mentioned earlier, Rob, because obviously he is one of the championship contenders, but he is down in 6th position, of course, 26 points.
Taking a lot of curb there on turn 9 on the exit. Let's hope it didn't compromise his traction too much under this straight. 104 in the middle sector, 146. Out of turn 10 he goes, and now up the hill towards 11 and 12. Blind apex left-hander. Careful, don't overshoot it. And make a rapid change of direction, of course, through 12. Rather slow, but you're going to go up the hill. And yeah, 13 and 14, all that remain. The apex isn't 100% blind. You still need to be careful on the top of the crest. And now turn 14 is all that's left in the lap. Not exactly flat, but take a lot of curb for good measure on exit. As you round off the lap with a 1 minute 38.6, that's what I'm was able to do.
But Skillen was able to be in by 3/10 before Suto went to the top of the time sheets. Jesus Perinin, another one of the championship contenders, way off the pace, down in 4th.
Yeah, Kurz goes onto the front row provisionally. Let's see what Alex Brosser is going to do. Tomaselli is right behind him. Brosser only slowest, 7th, and Tomaselli P6, not doing much better. What about Hamid Guyan? He only goes 8th fastest right now.
Hamid goes into 9th. Patel now goes fastest by 10th of a second at 1:37.895. As Watsaw goes even better by 75 thousandths of a second.
He's beating him. Here's Vojta Kulisic, meanwhile, holding up Joel Waters and the Monza winner, trying to fight the home favorite. And neither of them are doing particularly well. Kulisic down in last, Watson down in 10th, and Sorbat goes P8.
Duke went into P4. Here comes Hento Sinanome, the McLaren test driver, and he goes into P8. Farina goes P10. Valdinger.
Here goes Valdinger. 10th for him as Quintino slots it into P6. Kyle Burns and Santino Andreoli are the only cars left. And Andreoli's gone P8, but Burns down in 18th only.
Yep, Andreoli, the devil's phone number behind Watsaw at the moment, 0.666. So, yeah, it's a bit of a devilish time there, you could say.
Yeah, indeed. He'll be hoping either he improves or someone else goes to the top, so it's no longer that cursed gap.
Yes, indeed. Of course, as Rob mentioned, there are, I think he mentioned it, or I'm having a bit of the Mandela effect in my head, but He obviously we've got 2 more races after this one. Obviously the next one is the 3rd and final standalone race of the season. What that one will be, you'll have to wait tomorrow to find that one out. And yeah, hopefully it's a very exciting track.
Yeah, and don't try to pester us in our DMs asking for the fantasy race, because even if we wanted to tell you, we don't know it yet. Flo has decided not to tell us yet, so you're gonna have to wait. I will find out literally 1 minute before you guys do, so let's put that bluntly. Joel Warson is still trying to make a move on Wojtek Kulisevich.
But it won't matter because those two are coming into the pits. Obviously, of course, for anybody wondering, as Andrew earlier actually made a bit of a pass there on, I think that was Carl Burns it was. But
It's good to see they can race.
Indeed so. I mean, they were able to race in DTM, but a lot more chaotically, I could put it, as it looks like we're probably going to get a weird pit entrance, perhaps, during the race, as long as it doesn't create too much...
All right. Well, it's
well,
not,
it might
it's
not,
no
it
cause
might
for
not
concern right now. We can deal with
it
it
might
tomorrow.
not be, Flo, because as long as nobody's on the inside of them going around the final turn, it shouldn't be a problem. But I don't think even in DTM we've seen anybody go side by side through into that final turn. So I think we should be okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, in any case, I believe, Joe, you were going to mention we've got a new series replacing BCC from next season. Obviously, the tiering system is gone, and this series it doesn't have a finalized name, but for now, it's going with the title GP4 OC World Champ Car, I believe. And the signups for that have just opened, as a matter of fact. It's like IndyCar, but there are no ovals, because you know how well GP4 likes ovals, and by how well I mean not at all.
Yeah, indeed. And for anybody wondering, the Indy 500 is not a part of that championship. That's its own separate thing. That will be treated in the same way as it already has been. So,
Yep, indeed. Everybody from any tier or no tier at all, considering Tomasz Pascal raced last season, can sign up for the 500, providing that they've competed at least once full season in something.
yes, indeed. Well, so far the temporary name is World Champ Car. Now that could be the final name. It might not be. It all really depends on what Yuri decides in the end. It could be the World Champ Car Series it's known as. It might not be. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But also some of the teams you may have noticed as well. Some of them are from the real life IndyCar Series / the OC Indy 500. Some from other tiers of the OC, like Ferrari and of course Manor, who are deciding to join the Champ Car Series. So it makes my side pod that I made for Manor a bit redundant there, because it says thank you for the memories. It should say thank you for the memories ... in the top class. So
a little bit long to put on the side pod, don't you think?
A little bit, it's fine. But anyway, but yeah, Manor are going there, as are Viper Racing, as you may remember from Formula E back in 2014. So they're coming back into the OC. But we've also got some teams from BTCC as well, just to try and intertwine with the fact that it is replacing that series. And the examples of that are Pyramid Motorsport and, of course, Peugeot Sport. So it should be interesting, really. So if anybody is interested in signing up for that, you can. Of course, 2 of the teams will be occupying rookies, as we saw in the sign-ups, that being Manor and Viper. Ironically, both of them using Mercedes powertrains in that one. So, yeah, and just like Formula E, I do believe it won't be an equal series, but like it should be a little bit similar to how it is in IndyCar, so it should still provide close racing regardless.
Indeed.
But yeah,
So, now then, here goes Jesus Pernian starting a lap. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
Want to talk us through it?
I can do, yeah. So Pernin just goes around the first corner. It's a bit of a medium speed corner, really. It's not really a heavy braking zone. Flat through turn 2, and then down towards, well, I should say up towards turn 3, because there's a little bit of a climb before you head in towards turn 3. Through the long swooping left-hander. This is where in DTM we saw a lot of the carnage, but hopefully that's not going to be the case in GP2. Through turn 4, using a lot of curb, and using a lot of curb on the exit as well. And then he finds himself up on his personal best by nearly 2 tenths in the first sector, and nearly 2 tenths off of Watsel's for best time in the first sector, through the double right-hander, and then around the long swooping left-hander, where in MotoGP they would have the long lap. And I must say that Johan Zarco performed a bit of a balancing act on that penalty long lap back in 2020, it must be said. So through the left and then into the right-hander before making his way down the hill towards, well, one of many hairpins of this track, it's fair to say. Long swooping.
But the last one of them.
The last one, yes, as he finds himself 4 tenths up on his personal best in the middle sector, but still half a second off of Watzel. So Watzel clearly putting in a very good middle sector, but this should get Perinen up a little bit more in the pecking order, because at the moment Perinen is currently in 16th position. Coming out of the first chicane there, well, I first should say first chicane, there's a load of chicanes on here, but the one that's a little bit more tighter than the others. Now into the last chicane now then, this also created carnage in DTM. Through the left, then into the right-hander, a little lift off of acceleration in the middle of it before using all the curb on the exit, and what's Perinen going to do on this lap? He goes up to 12.
Very decent effort there. However, he'll be hoping for more. Here goes Aaron Curtis, and he'll stay where he is, which is in P5 right now. Max Killen up next across the line. He was way down. As you have Alex Broster, someone who might not be down. Let's see if he can hold on to that improvement he's got in Sector 2. He can.
Him.
Yeah, unfortunately so. You have just Suto currently up in third. He wanted Portimao, of course, dominatingly, and this track has a lot of elevation changes. It's like Portimao in a way, but unfortunately he can't improve. He has to settle for third for now. Then his Graf is up next. What is he going to do? He is doing rather well. He's going up to P6.
A good time for Graf there, as meanwhile we have a look at Tomaselli, who crossed the line, no improvement for him. Quintino stays where he is. Zorbach stays where he is for the moment. Here comes Ruslan Proxiuk, across the line he will go, and no improvement for him. Luca Farina's on improvement, he goes up to 7th, so a much needed improvement there for the Italian, as Mohamed Usman Hamid goes only 19th with that lap.
Still a pretty bad lap as Homan Gwen next across the line. He goes P20. Those guys have both improved. They still need a whole lot more. Kyle Burns stayed in the pits, of course, as Watzel can't improve on his personal best lap. And fast of all, as Hento Sonoma has just gone second with a little bit of a helping hand from Rahul Patel on the back straight. Here's Ben
ironically in third.
The line. Yeah.
So Valdinger goes fastest.
He may not be in the championship hunt any longer, and even mathematically, but he still wants to show he can win a race or two. And he's on provisional pole right now. Watson has improved. Kulisic has improved also, but without improving his position.
Now we look at Andriolo, who's currently not up on his personal best, as the Frenchman currently finds himself in 12th position, going through the final chicane now. Then he will go before making his... And he doesn't improve.
No, unfortunately not. 7/10 down. And I do believe that is about it for this second run.
Indeed, and we find ourselves with Valdinger at the top, with Watzel in second and Sinanome in third position. Curtis currently behind the person who's nearest to him in the championship, Ruslan Proxiuk, right behind him at the moment. And Patel up in 4th, Perinen down in 15th. He needs to really improve. Same with Adam Chobot, who's down in 14th position, so just ahead of Perinen. Farina is currently 9th at this point, and is that all? Is that every other championship contender just named off the top of my head there? No, wait, Nguyen, he's in 20th at the moment, so he really needs to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Burns, while he may not be a title contender, he is still in P9. I guess you could say he is among the best of the rest, him and Quintino, and his chances of the title are small. I don't think he thinks about it. They can definitely think about adding to his tally of wins. He already won in neighboring Austria, so who knows if Kyle Burns can get an improvement, which, let's be honest, he desperately needs considering he's on the back row right now. Can help him a long way.
Indeed so, as Hento Sinanome, as you can see, they're just waiting into the pits as we are currently on board with Patel as we wait for the third runs to get underway. So I should also point out the World Champ Car Championship as well. The tracks, while some will also be in the Americas, also there'll be tracks that will take place outside of the Americas as well. So it won't just purely be in the American series. But we've got somebody on track right now, I believe.
Has to be... No, it's Aaron Curtis, actually. He's gone out way earlier than everybody else.
Indeed so, probably looking to see if he can try and get himself above Proxiuk.
Well, I sure think he's going to try. The gap is just 300s between the pair of them right now. Obviously, it's 11 points in the championship, but if you don't take pole, that gap's going to stay the same.
Absolutely, and of course Curtis, who has so far, quite oddly enough, started to get a victory this season. He has been very, very consistent so far in 2020. I don't think he's ever got a victory in GP2. He did win in Formula E, I do remember that, but he's never achieved a victory in GP2, just like his teammate last week, who managed to beat him to get to the first win.
No, he's never won in GP2. He came very close in his very first race in Bahrain, but he had a very unfortunate collision with the man whose car he now occupies, that being Chris Chatfield.
And Chris Chatfield, of course, currently in the top class, although he is fighting to keep his career, so to speak, given that Mikolas Gal is off to AlphaTauri next season, and it looks like he and Q-Pop will be fighting it out to see who's going to end up being Gal's teammate next season.
Looks like it, yeah. Meanwhile, Curtis, he's in a fun seat, and if he can win this title, could really go a long way to it. He's been the leader for the last few races, but he's got the opposition hot on his heels. It may be just 3 races to go, but it's still far from over. Anything could happen, and it usually does.
Indeed, as Curtis has just started his lap, luckily the car that came out in front of him is not going to hold him up. It is one of the ARTs that's in front of him, whilst he's also got one of the HWAs behind as well. Of course, HWA trying to enjoy their final 3 races in the series before being replaced by Van Amersfoort next season.
It's really a surprise. They've only done just this season, and that's it. A little bit of a shame for HWA, as Curtis is 10th down in the first sector.
Indeed, as he now makes his way down the hill through the double right-hander and making sure that the car doesn't understeer. We saw quite a bit in DTM, really, that people like to make mistakes going through into that corner, but so far we haven't seen any of the GP2 drivers do it, so it seems they're a little bit more tidy than what the DTM guys did in the past.
Maybe the mistake rate was a little different this time, but I'm happy there weren't any mistakes so far. As Curtis is getting a little bit of tow from Luca Farina, I think that is in front. Let's see if he can improve the middle sector. No, he's lost another 10th.
Yeah, it looks like on this lap, Curtis is not going to improve. So it looks like for the moment he's going to stay in 7th place unless he performs a miracle in the last sector, which we did see somebody, which I do believe his teammate was able to do on the last laps. He was able to pull something out of the bag in the last sector to improve. But whether that will be the same for Curtis, that's another question.
Well, there are 2 long straights left. He's just ended one of them. So it's just the run to the checkered flag. Not to the checkered flag, to the line, sorry. And let's see what Curtis is going to do as he crosses the line now. No, he didn't improve. He lost for 2/10. The roster is starting a lap. We're looking for anybody else on a lap right now. That would be Max Skillen. Note, Santino Androli is in the pits, so he and Burns have an extra run in the end of this session. But Skillen is not looking comfortable right now with the car.
No, he was 1.1 off of Valdinger in the middle sector, so far it doesn't look like he's going to...
He had a great chance to score some big points in Italy, but I'm afraid he just completely messed it up by going extremely wide at the last mow and second last mow, and he didn't improve on this one.
No, not. As meantime, Perinin not on an improvement at the moment, and he's down in 15th position. We've seen quite a few times this season. Perinin has had shaky qualifyings, it seems, but sometimes likes to turn it up in the races. But he can't really afford to do that if he wants to win the championship this season.
Well, in the last 3 races, he's been 4th, then he's been 14th, then he's been 4th. And now Nicolas Zorba goes up into 12th place. Perinin is very quick, but he lacks consistency sometimes. As Suta has improved to 2nd, his teammates gone up to 6th, so great effort from Burns.
That's now pushed Perinin down into 70th position and Min onto the last row of the grid, as Sinanone didn't improve, nor did Graf. And what is Chobot doing behind? Well, nothing really.
Nope. As Tomaselli can't improve on that lap either. He's just under 3/10 down. And Gwen is crossing the line, half second down. He's really not good. It looks like his bad run of form in qualifying might just about continue. That has been Hemingway's key weakness this season. He may have won 2 races, but in qualifying, he's been weak. And apart from back where he made a brilliant comeback to finish 5th, he just can't pick up the scraps after bad qualifying.
No, definitely not. We just saw that Curtis actually compromised Farina, but Farina wasn't improving anyway, so I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, really. His Protsuit didn't improve, and nor did Quintino behind.
Well, if you're slow enough to get past on your flying lap, you're probably not going to be fast enough to improve. As Hamed did improve, got to the 18th position. Mens Wallinger is up next to cross the line. The Peugeot pole sitter stays where he is.
Lizette, meanwhile, the home favourite, is on improvement. Can he get out of last position and push one of the championship contenders down into last? Let's see.
Well, he definitely needs a good qualifying session. And going to P14 is rather decent. Warson, meanwhile, just got up into 8th.
So both Tridents find themselves in the top 10, but Watson ahead of Curtis again so far. So yeah, a bit of maybe a
little bit of a surprise. Curtis obviously took pole last time out in Italy, but he just didn't have the pace to hold on for the win. He had to settle for P5.
Bit interesting what's going on there at Trident so far. But anyway, I think these are the runs done with so far, especially with these runs at the moment. But we've still
Yeah,
got just over 9.5 minutes to go so far.
that's plenty of time for everybody else to do their one run. Though I do wonder about the guys who have two left. That those being Andreoli, of course, and Burns, and the one other guy who will stay into the pits on this run.
Absolutely. But at the moment, Falding is still at the top of the timing sheets with Suto in second and Watzel currently rounding out the top three at this point in time. And Suto, it's fair to say, this season has had a very up and down, topsy-turvy season, it's fair to say. I mean, he had a very good start to the season, but it just seems like he's had a lot of bad luck come his way. In fact, if I just bring up the results page a little bit, Suto has retired in 4 of the last 5 races. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's been
indeed.
a lot, very unlucky this season as Jose Frederic Suto after coming off a very strong season in Formula E last season.
Yeah, it's obviously a different type of category, and even if you, I feel even if you are very quick in a tier, it doesn't immediately translate into performances here. It's always important to have confidence, but getting cocky and being overconfident is not going to do you much good. Of course, Soto finished second in Formula E, but right now he did manage to win in Portimao. I believe he raced in Formula E as well. But ever since then, he's just not had the best of seasons. And with 3 races to go, he's hoping he can finally rectify that and finally get a good showing under his belt. Wallinger, though, he's already at a championship fight, is ahead of him, though. So I think both of them have some redemption they want to put on for show, as now Wallinger's teammate Androli has gone out first, predictably. He has one run left after this. Almost everybody else doesn't, so it'll be the last run for them. Let's see what's going to happen.
I have to wait and see, of course. Obviously, for a lot of these guys, it's their last chance to improve, and the ones that you'll definitely want to highlight for ones that should be trying to improve are Perinen, Nguyen, and Chobot, of course, 3 of the championship contenders who are outside the top 10, and of course Farina as well. He's also outside the top 10.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite a surprise. None of the front runners in the championship are on either the first or second row. Patel's the best placed in P5, but Patel, I'm afraid, he didn't exactly have a good time in Italy. First, he got involved in a collision with Brusser, I think it was. Then he had a pretty comical spin on the exo parabolic as Andreoli begins his third lap.
He does indeed. So he makes his way through into the first corner, currently in 16th. Can he try and get anywhere near his teammate, who currently is at the top of the timing sheets?
We will see, but about Patel's early performance, what did you think of it, Joe? Because I think he was a little bit unlucky there.
Probably half and half really with Patel, wasn't it? I mean, you could say he was unlucky, but at times he didn't really look like he was going to make too much of an impression in that race. And this
Yeah,
is really, especially given that he is one of the championship contenders, it's not really the best time to do that sort of performance.
it's these cars can be very rewarding if you push them, but it's so easy to overcook it and just bin it completely. You have to be very careful, as Androli can improve in the first sector. Let's see if he can pick up some time in sector 2. Kulisec and Hamid are the ones left in the garages right now. And Kulisec will get the fourth run later, not now.
As he now makes his way towards the end of sector 2, which is just before this right-hander, and yeah,
8
he's way
tenths
off
down.
Aldinger.
No
Way
chance
off
at
Aldinger.
all. He won't improve. Let's just hope for his sake he'll have enough time to get that fourth run under his belt, because right now it's not looking good at all. He's actually going to impede that high tech you can see.
You got to, and also as well, he's also got that high tech being Chobot, one of the championship contenders. Maybe he could try
Has
and
he
get some help
started his lap yet, or is he on an out lap right now?
on out lap. He's preparing for himself for the next lap, so he could
Well,
try
he
and get
needs to
himself
get an
some help in
overtake done
slipstream.
quickly.
Either that, or he could try and hang back and get some slipstream and then overtake him at a point where he's not going to get held up. But we'll have to wait and see.
And
But as I
Shirley
mentioned,
obviously did not improve, but this is going to be the last lap for Chobot. He has to make it count. Same for Wallinger, he's starting his. Here have Max
Gillen,
Gillen. He'll be
his
the
final
first one to
lap.
get the checkered flag. So let's see if he can put it to good work, put it to good use on this lap, or if he's gonna have to start in like P13 or lower.
He's currently getting some slipstream from Russell and Protsiuk in front, so we'll have to wait and see if it helps him. But so
Looked
far, looking at his
very
left
much
runner,
understeering into the last corner. I don't think he's gonna improve it. No, checkered flag
oh,
next to his name. He is done for the day.
Burns now then comes out of the final turn. What can the American do? Well, no improvement, remains in P6.
But
Nicholas
he's got to run
Zorbach.
to spare. Zorbach doesn't. He stays in 14th.
Curtis
That
is
means
not on the.
Zorbach is out of the championship fight, I believe.
I have to say, yes, Curtis now then comes around the final 2 turns. I might have to do some maths in a bit to find that one out. But Curtis comes out of the final corner.
Is it going to
And
be
he's
2
going.
poles in a row? It is not.
Nope, he is going to stay in P9 as Lorenzo Tomaselli now then comes around the final 2 turns.
He seems
And
to be off the pace right now, but let's see if he's found something in this last sector. Took a nice amount of curve there, but it didn't quite help him. 3/10 on his personal best down in P20 on the grid. So couldn't have a crack at Paul, but Graf improved just 1,000th in front of Curtis. Perignon desperate for an improvement, and it didn't come to him. Let's see if
it looks
Chobot
like
can do anything or if his lap was massively compromised.
a lot of work for Perinin to do tomorrow. Could it be the same for Chobot? And yes, it will
It
be
will be the
Chobot.
same, yes. So
Chobot
these
and
guys are
Perinin.
on the back foot. We'll have to keep an eye on Nguyen when he finishes his lap, as Farina can't improve on his. But Nguyen, desperate for an improvement, once again starting at the back. No.
Yep, he's really struggling to get qualifying hooked up this season, isn't he? And this is not the time to do that. Meanwhile,
I think
Alex
Nguyen is perhaps the best driver when it comes to has been the best driver in the races, but qualifying was his Achilles heel, and it's a heel that keeps on hurting as Broster's gone 20th.
that pushes Tomaselli now onto the back row. So Tomaselli and the Goon will occupy the back row for tomorrow. Watterson stays in P8 as we now look at Watzel, the guy who's currently in 3rd. Obviously was on pole earlier. Can he try and snatch it back off Valdinger? And no, he can't.
Afraid not. Hammond is the last one of the regular runners to get the checkered flag, and he can improve either. That means Burns, Kulisic, and Androli are the only ones left, but they gotta get out on track in the next minute because otherwise they'll miss out.
Indeed so we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll wait to see if.
Well, all
Burns
3 of
can
them
do
are in the pits, but Burns is just being pushed back into his garage,
So
they
he
can very quick.
It's going to be a bit tight for Burns then if he wants to do one more lap and try and see if he can get up close to his teammate. Kulizek is getting ready to go out though. His mechanics are getting ready, so he should be able to get one more lap in.
I imagine it's the same for Andreoli. Andreoli typically went out early on the previous runs.
Yep, so as Graf is actually in front, and well, that's not going to be helpful. As
He's gone through nevertheless, phasing through him. As is there a little bit of traffic jam in the pit lane there behind?
There was a bit of traffic there. Hento was having to wait to go, but Sinonome is now in the box. He's obviously finished.
Androli is ready to go out.
Will
Looks
just
like
be able to
he
get
will
a lap
make
in.
it. What about Burns?
Burns, I think, may just miss out here if he's not careful. I think he will. If we look at the timer, and
Not enough time left. Yeah,
so
Burns is done.
So it's just going to be Kulizek and Andrioli to do one more lap. It just looks like Burns is just going to get some mileage in the car then. But P6, still a decent quali for Burns. That's the maximum he's going to get, depending on what Kulizek and Andrioli do.
Either way, he'll be happy with a top 10 finish in qualifying.
Yep. But we're now going to look at the home favourite, Wojtek Kulizek.
Indeed, the drivers in P15 and 16 are the only ones who can deny Benz Vellinger pole position. Kulisic has been last in the championship for a while, and I'm sure this is not what he wants. I'm sure he wants to make this right, get at least one good result. Burns has just gone out on track a little too late, though, I'm afraid, so he won't get a flying lap in, but these 2 guys will. And for Wojtek Kulisic, it's now or never in front of his home fans, really. If he wants to make an impression, of course, to rescue to salvage his terrible season so far, if he can get a good lap in now, that might come a long way.
Indeed, so it's a bit of a shame for Wojciech Kulizek this season because he had a very strong season in BTCC last season outside of what Jesus Brinnan did, obviously. But it seems that so far, compared to Jesus Brinnan, he hasn't really adapted to the open wheelers very well.
I'm afraid not. But here goes Kulisic. If he can remain in GP2 for next season, of course, that is another story. I don't know about that. But he's trying to focus on the present, do the best he can right now. And he's got his home fans cheering him on. This should be his best track, of course, as checkered flag is out and Shirley has crossed the line in time. Burns obviously has not. Let's see if Pulisic can get the improvement he desperately craves.
Let's see what his first sector is like, and
it's awful.
Yeah, he's half a second off his personal best in the first sector.
Well, he'll be starting 15th or 16th, depends what Santino Androli does.
Anyway, so Kulizet now then, we're just going to ride on board him for the rest of the lap. Just goes around the left-hander, missing the curve on the inside there, as he now takes a bit of curve on the outside before making their way through. You could say like a mirrored version of the previous couple of corners, but except this corner is a lot different to the first part of that.
You know what it reminds me of? The third sector of Mont Tremblant, you know.
The track, of course, which is owned, I think still owned, in fact, by Lawrence Stroll, unless he sold it. But yeah, so as now Wojciech Kulizet now then goes around the final four corners, the first chicane of that complex. He's just gone around now. And of course, I forgot as well, in DTM, we did see people make mistakes at that corner in DTM. Whether that will be the case for GP2 tomorrow, it will be another question. But Kulizet,
Yeah, indeed,
was around the final chicane, using a lot of curve on the inside for the first bit, only a little bit in the second part, using all the curve on the outside, coming off
and
the turn.
I'm afraid this was just disheartening. He can't improve. The home fans heartbroken, I guess. But tomorrow is a new day. If he can get some points at home, I'm sure he and the fans will be delighted. Santino Androli will round off this session with an improvement or not. No, that means
No.
Ben Waldinger has taken pole.
Yes, he has. Of course, Burns is not on a lap. He didn't have time to get back out there. But yes, Ben Waldinger is on pole for tomorrow's Czech Grand Prix for GP2.
Yep, indeed. And he may no longer have a shot at the championship. It's mathematically impossible. But he's still wanting to put on a good show, I bet. And let's see what he can do. Suto in second, Watson in third, Tsunome in fourth. All four of those guys haven't had the greatest of seasons. They're trying to prove a point, I guess, and do the best they can. Then we have Rahul Patel in P5, Kyle Burns in P6, Ruslan Pratsuk P7. I think that part of the grid is stacked, of course, with good drivers. Joel Warson is in P8, Dennis Graf P9, and Aaron Kerr is the championship leader in P10. Right behind him, it's one of his rivals, Luca Farina.
Then we have Quintino in 12th position, followed by Max Skill in 13th, Nicholas Zorbach in 14th, the home favourite, Wojciech Kulizek, only 15th for him, with Santino Andreoli in 16th, Adam Chobot and Jesus Perino with a lot of work to do for them in 17th and 18th respectively. Mohamed Usman Hamid is in 19th, Alex Broser in 20th, Lorenzo Tomaselli in 21st, and in 22nd and last will be Hoang Minh Nguyen. A lot of work to do for the Vietnamese driver again.
Absolutely. I think he'll be very thankful that Park Ferme rules aren't a thing in the GP4 OC because he'll get to change the woeful setup he had today in qualifying and hopefully try to put on a better show tomorrow.
Indeed so. Well, that is qualifying here at Brno sorted out.
Yep, indeed. And tomorrow, it will be race day. I think I'm going to be joined by Dennis Graf if nothing goes wrong. But if I have to call on a backup, can I count on you, Joe?
Yeah, you can do.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much for joining me on such short notice. And thank you to Flo for hosting. Thank you to everybody for watching. And I'm sorry my voice sounded dry. I think I need to get some water or something. But in any case, thank you so much. It wasn't the greatest qualifying of all time, but I hope the track can deliver and we can have a very entertaining race tomorrow. Until then, I don't know how to say goodbye in Czech, so I'll just say it in English. Goodbye.
Yeah.